Hello and welcome to The Nation. You're with me, Tamina Kausri, coming live from the Bernama News Channel studios, where it is all about you. So we always like to tackle topics which are going to affect the entire nation of Malaysia here on our program. And today we're talking about something which is just as essential as education. In today's world, internet connectivity is perhaps one of the most important markers of whether or not a country has reached developed nation status yet. So today we're here to speak about how satellite communication is perhaps the ultimate solution which we all as Malaysians need to take us forward to that next step. With me in the studio today are Mr. Syed Nasir Hussain bin Syed Pir, who is the Managing Director of Lautan Variasi Sendirian Berhad, as well as Dr. Rashid Maidin, an independent consultant, to give us some viewpoints about how satellite communication can help take us forward. So, gentlemen, how are you this afternoon?
Very good, very good.
All right. So let's get the ball rolling by starting off with Mr. Syed. Syed, why do you think that satellite communication can actually help fill the gap which a lot of Malaysian consumers already are feeling, despite us having high-speed fiber optics in the nation?
Okay, first of all, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and salam satu Malaysia. Thanks for having me today, actually. So, the very important subject we're going to discuss today, actually, this is regarding nationwide connectivity using satellite. If you look at comparing fiber connectivity compared to satellite, to lay fiber cables is always very expensive to do that, actually. Second, you will always have geographical challenges if you want to lay a fiber cable. Right. You can't lay fiber cable when there is hills and mountains, actually. So there always will be a limitation when it comes to fiber. So this is when satellite always can come in and fill in the gap, actually, because for satellite you don't have any blind spot. You can have a nationwide coverage, whereas for fiber, you will have challenges because you can't lay fiber cables entire nation, actually. So to answer back your question just now, actually, for industry, for telco industry, we feel that satellite is going to be a way forward for future telco communication, actually.
Right, okay. So when we speak about telco communication in general, Dr. Rashid, when you have seen other countries in the region which already have faster digital connectivity than Malaysia, why is it that Malaysia is lagging behind despite us actually having premiered a lot of the technologies in Malaysia way back before, let's say, our neighbors like Vietnam even had access?
Thank you for having me here today. Being a consultant for various projects, I see that Malaysia has an opportunity and started the internet connectivity way in 1980. Unfortunately, today when you talk about connectivity, we are even far behind Vietnam and Cambodia. Why? Because the technology that we provide is still not up to date. It is not the state-of-art equipments, and today we are a bit reluctant on trying to improve the technology is made available. And of course, technology are not cheap. Today we have migrated from 2G, 3G, 4G to 5G, and this all has come into being. And today people talk about Internet of Things, where we have created so many things that today the public at large is depending on all kind of icons and Internet of Things, but our infrastructure is still far behind. And I don't see, if this infrastructure is not brought forth with, what else? My colleague has said that we have the difficulty in terrains, we have the blind spots, we have, but these all are not excuses for us not to have better connectivity. Today, via satellite, without any trenchless requirements, today we can be connected. You see, so therefore, our infrastructure need to be improved in order the public at large to have the entire connection in the whole country.
Right. So now leapfrogging to the bigger question of price points, Mr. Said, perhaps you'd be the best one to answer that. The perception publicly is generally that, okay, when you say satellite, people think about space travel, people think about bigger communication specters, but not really about how does my smartphone, how does my laptop, tablet connect to the bigger internet. So isn't it too expensive in Malaysia to be bringing in a technology that's also going to be so intensive on the capital side of things?
No doubt. To talk about satellite industry,
yes,
it is a capital intensive industry actually. Even the technology is very expensive, but technology have evolved for last 10 years. It used to be to launch a satellite can cost easily 1.5 billion ringgit Malaysia actually.
Wow.
Okay, it used to be at that range actually, but now we are getting into moving into a high throughput satellite, whereby the costs are getting lower and lower. Technology evolve, and then satellite. The current satellite trend is actually. In 2018-2019, there will be another satellite going to be launched in orbit, which is going to be easily about 70 to 90% cheaper than what the conventional satellite used to cost actually.
Oh wow!
Okay.
So that heralds a new era.
Exactly. So this what that mean for a general public actually. You see, let's say now if you are paying for your internet at home or your smartphone, let's say a month you're paying 150 ringgit or maybe 130 ringgit, or maybe your 10 meg of internet at home,
right,
costing you 230 ringgit a month actually.
Yes, depending on the service provider.
Exactly, depends on the service provider. With what LV going to do very soon, which is everything is already in place, we're going to own a satellite, our own satellite actually. And that satellite is going to cost us easily 70 to 90% cheaper than conventional satellite. What that means for a public is your internet cost is going to be lesser than 100 ringgit a month actually. So this is going to be go hand in hand with government's agenda, which is they want to make sure that penetration of internet, basically everyone in Malaysia, students, public, even industry, business committees actually, they have a mean to access internet actually. So with very cost effective packages which will be able to offer very soon in the industry, I feel that we will be able to fill in the gap which is left about 40% of general public in Malaysia.
So I think this is not just talking about changing the mode by which we get our internet, but it's talking about completely rooting up the industry and changing it. Now, what does it mean in the bigger picture, Dr. Rashid, for all Malaysians to be having internet access? It doesn't just mean that, okay, we can all have our social media apps. What does it mean in bigger picture?
See, unfortunately, there was a survey conducted.
Okay.
The survey entails us by complaining that our country's slow internet speed. All right, they now become so dependent on internet connection, and the availability of the connection was so bad. But many people thought that fiber connecting or fiber construction could be the only way to get connected. But there are many other methods which today is made available. Unfortunately, of course, the yesterday's punya technology, it could be when there's raining, you could have some problems.
That's right, disruptions
and all those things. And maybe even the speed could be not as that warranted under the terrestrial requirements. But today, the technology has changed. You see, today satellite connection has given much improvement. Today, when you talk about satellite connection, they can even give 100 megabytes. Those days, you can't even hear maybe 20, 25.
That's right. That would be the cap.
100 megabytes, which definitely is a big, huge connectivity is being given. You see, what is more important to me is, as I said earlier, the cost of having this project could be very high. Of course, there are many methods of how to make this cost cheaper. There are many methods.
All right. So now moving back to Mrs. Said. Now, who are the particular market that you are targeting through Lautan Variasi satellite communication? We already have internet penetration definitely in the urban areas. What about the rural areas?
Okay.
He should not choose. In fact,
Okay.
he should be connecting to everybody.
All right. But why would the rural areas also be a priority, especially taking in consideration the topography of Malaysia, right? Makes it challenging.
Definitely. Our main priority is actually to connecting the rural areas actually. So that is our main priority, because these are the people is generally being deprived from getting the access. And earlier you was asking actually, okay, so what this basically what is the benefit is going to be? Basically people going to get it by satellite industry usually. You see, imagine we are already moving into industry 4.0 actually revolution on that.
Whether we're ready or not.
Yes. Okay. So the next question is whether we are ready or not. It's just that's a big question, and we are talking about IoT, Internet of Things actually. Okay. So the backbone of all these actually is the internet connectivity.
Correct.
Okay. Fiber, honestly, for Malaysia, we are not ready yet. Actually, our infrastructure is just not enough to actually to cover the entire nation. So satellite, it's definitely the way forward to do that actually. So and then we are talking about e-commerce.
Yes.
People from a businessman who actually are doing business, or a small scale SME entrepreneurs at home actually. They're trying to sell some of their product from Penang to US. You don't need to physically present over there actually to sell your product nowadays. Just look at Lazada. Just look at some of these online portals actually. So basically, internet connectivity making it actually makes what do you call that? The ease of doing business is much easier actually. So the penetration of internet via satellite, this is exactly what going to do to people in Malaysia, where they have a much broader spectrum of way of doing business, connecting people, getting information, retrieving information for students actually to access information. So this is what we are actually heading to via using what do you call the satellite actually. Yeah.
Right. So streamlining all of that. But
Yes.
more on that once we come back after the commercial break. Do stay tuned.
Apakah itu pengurusan strata? Pengurusan sesuatu bangunan berstrata bermula setelah sesebuah pemajuan menyerahkan pemilikan kosong kepada pembeli serentak dengan hak milik strata. Pengurusan skim tersebut akan dilaksanakan oleh pemaju, JMB atau MC. Meskipun tanggungjawab pengurusan sesebuah skim itu jatuh ke atas mereka, pemilik juga harus melaksanakan kewajipan dengan menjelaskan caj penyelenggaraan yang ditetapkan. Kegagalan dalam menunaikan tuntutan ini akan menyebabkan pengurusan tergendala dan menyulitkan penghuni, dan kad akses pemilik juga boleh disekat. Nama dipaparkan di papan notis, dihalang menggunakan harta bersama, harta alih boleh disita dan boleh didenda di bawah Akta Pengurusan Strata 2013. Caj penyelenggaraan adalah tanggungjawab bersama bagi memastikan pengurusan strata yang berkualiti dan sempurna. Untuk maklumat lanjut, layari www.kpkt.gov.my.
Brings you the latest in current affairs, lifestyle and entertainment, as well as one-on-one discussions with fascinating personalities. Only on Bernama News Channel.
Listen to views of industry captains. Analyze and examine trends and projections. Gain market insights from subject matter experts. Biz Talk every Friday, 8:30 p.m. only on BNC. Gain insights from the people with the capacity to translate vision into reality. Interviews with corporate leaders at 8:30 p.m. Monday, only on BNC.
Welcome back to The Nation with me, Tamina Kausji. So today we have been talking about how Malaysia can be connected potentially within the next few years completely by using satellite communication, something pretty new to the market, with the two right men in the studio to tell us a little bit more about that. So Mr. Syed, as we were saying just before we went off for the break, now what about how Lautan Variasi is doing things is really going to not just change the market, but also help it catch up fast to all the ground that we need to catch up with?
Okay. Every time when we want to bring in a technology, or when it becomes very capital intensive to invest and to try to revamp the industry, usually, the industry players normally will go and look for help from government itself, actually. So at least they will come out with fund and all that. But for Lautan Variasi, what we are trying to do now, actually, it's going to be fully PFI, private funded initiative at the moment, because
I see. Okay.
Yes,
that is also a very brave way to put forth.
Exactly. So for in next 3 years, we're going to build easily 7,000 telecommunication towers.
Okay. Wow.
In 3 years, 7,000 telecommunication towers, where everything is in place now, actually, and we're going to launch this project in Q3 of this year. So having 7,000 towers, telecommunication towers in our hand, the next thing what we're going to do, actually, we're going to do a long range Wi-Fi access via that towers, actually. So normally, let's say if you're having your internet broadband at home, actually, your internet broadband basically only can access inside your house.
Correct.
So if you're in upstairs, it can go up to first floor, second floor, and third floor, actually. The moment you step out from your house,
it's lost.
It's lost, right? But the technology which we're going to do, actually, you're going to have a coverage up to easily about 5 to 10 kilometers. So even if you are outside of your house, and if it happens that actually you take your kids to park, you still have your internet access via at the park, actually.
It's your own access. Yes.
That's your own access. You're not sharing with public. So basically, that's your own access. So that this is something that it was never implemented by any of these telco before, actually. So
no.
Yes, and
they missed out on that.
Exactly.
Angle.
So we are trying to get into that angle now, actually, to give much broader access for the users, actually. And the system that we're going to implement is going to be 100 times faster than LTE.
Okay, 100 times.
100 times faster.
I think Malaysians are having all their dreams coming true seeing that, right?
It's 100 times faster than LTE. So the question is, our public is ready actually to accept this kind
something
of
different.
Yes, something different. That is the question that I'm actually throwing back to the public. Are you ready to have something 100 times faster than what you're having now, actually? So 3G, 4G, LTE. I'm not even talking about 5G, actually. So I'm talking about something that you're having in your hand, which is 100 times faster than your LTE. So that's, right. So that's another technology. And imagine you're having a gigabyte of speed in your hand. Basic internet speed that actually average Malaysian are having at the moment is only about 2 meg. I'm talking about you having a 1 gig of speed in your hand at any time at home, actually. So this is something that we are trying to make it happen, and everything's in place as I mentioned earlier. It's in place. It's just that whether we're going to launch it in Q3 or Q4, actually, is that. And then
So moving back to Dato Rashid, and speaking about how it is that economic development is also hindered when you don't have the right sort of progressive enough policies for internet connection. Can you tell us a bit about that?
See, what has happened, among others, which my colleague has said, that, I'm quite surprised that if Lautan Waraisi could address all these issues. Today, in fact, my clients who happen to be in this business, their basic complaints was simple. They say that I can't afford to invest in a big way simply because they are worried about the broadband speed in that area.
Right.
So these are the normal complaints.
Then that makes it an economic barren area.
Barrier, right? And now more members are becoming heavily dependent on the internet, on their global business communication and transactions. Unfortunately, the connectivity in Malaysia is slow and costly compared to many other neighboring countries. So again, the flow of outflow,
information, yes,
it is not getting any near to us. As far as I'm concerned, we have no choice but to make sure that if any companies like him would want to invest with a big investment, my only appeal is to the government to help this kind of companies to make sure that this technology is being in a way subsidized so that their connectivity is well shared with all parties.
That's right. And also satellite telecom is a particularly new field, especially for Bumiputra companies. Now with Lautan Wariasi already making forays into it, how do you hope that it will be received by the general market?
For public, the essential question that every time they ask is actually how cheap is their internet going to be usually.
Right.
So I'm telling now, if you are paying 200 ringgit for your internet and your access are limited actually.
It's still limited even after that.
Yes, okay. After you're paying that much of money on a monthly basis, I'm giving you an option which is your internet cost going to be lesser than 100 ringgit a month actually, and it can be even lower than that. It's all depend. Again, what is going to be the end cost of for us to deploy this entire project? And like Dato have mentioned earlier, if only government can subsidize on the equipments which and the infrastructure which we're going to deploy, I think eventually the government's idea to make sure that public can get internet access below maybe 50 ringgit a month actually, that can happen, okay. And we have calculated 25 gig of data a month is going to cost you only about 30 ringgit a month actually.
Wow.
Which is
I think that opens up incredible opportunity, right?
So if that kind of option we can give to public, I think there will be a greater acceptance from a public to embrace this kind of technology.
Just to add what he have said, you see,
sure.
Many consumers have signed up with, I don't want to see which particular telco companies lah.
All right.
I have signed up with pricey cost, with the promise of giving better connections, and unfortunately they are not giving what they have promised.
Yes, they haven't delivered.
They have not delivered. Maybe because of the infrastructure which they have, with the limited of infrastructure they have, but they did not tell the public the truth. So when this happened, they compromise. You see,
and
they
there's
compromise
already
the quality,
a monopoly.
and there's already a monopoly by certain
so
certain
general
quarters.
public basically the acceptance is already there that okay, I'm paying this much, I'm getting a substandard services.
But you see how they hide, because the agreement says best effort basis.
Right.
You see, so best effort basis. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's the best I can give you." But actually, the government should impose. If you have decided to give 100 meg, make sure you deliver 100 megs.
Right. So I'll pose
don't
the next
hide by this so-called on best effort basis.
So I'll pose the next question to you, Mr. Syed. How do you propose that satellite communication is going to take the roughly 12 million or so Malaysians currently connected to all of us, 30 million of us?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, our first initiative is by actually building the towers, because the tower is the one that's going to hold
the long distance
the
Wi-Fi.
long range Wi-Fi access and all that actually. So we believe by starting the project with building the towers, okay, and then second we move into what do you call that, building in that long range Wi-Fi solution, and third by owning our own satellite. These three actually we're going to make whatever that we have discussed just now, actually going to make possible for the public to have a much cheaper, much faster internet access in Malaysia actually, and without any blind spot.
Without any blind spot.
Yes.
I think that makes actually the biggest difference, because when we speak about Malaysia in particular, looking at our geography, the blind spots are many.
No, that's one thing. But the digital lifestyle that we are going through now, and if you are going towards that era,
yes,
and if we are prepared towards that era, we talk about Internet of Things, we talk about Industrial 4.0 revolution. All these things are akin towards internet connectivity. And if the infrastructure is not there, how do you get a good internet connection?
Exactly. So perhaps satellite is indeed the answer.
Is the answer.
Right. So on that note, gentlemen, thanks so much for your time today. We certainly wish you all the very best with all of Lautan Variasi's initiatives, because we can't wait to have our cheaper, faster, no blind spots internet.
Definitely.
It's a good answer and a good summary then to my waiting clients.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, cheaper internet connectivity, very reliable.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us here on The Nation. I'm Tamina Kauji signing off. We hope you'll go and find out a little bit more about satellite communication and how it could revolutionize how you use the internet. Thank you.